at the cost of a lot.
As we celebrate the 250th anniversary, it's important to remember that there has always been people excluded from that celebration. We're at a critical juncture here.
You look at your children and you realize that what you're handing to them needs to be a healthy landscape.
Streaming now with KPBS Passport on KPBS Plus.
This is a really nice episode. You won't want to miss it. We meet Chef Momin Nouri, who brings the vibrant flavors of Morocco to Valle de Guadalupe with his restaurant Couscous.
My mom is yelling at you on TV right now.
And we talk to a passionate activist that is saving one particular bird, the snowy plover.
It's either passion or it's mental illness.
Of course. Part of season 15, don't miss it.
Watch live Thursday at 9:30 or stream now with KPBS Plus. You're watching KPBS. Like you. Thank you.
The use of electronic devices inside the classroom is a hot-button topic for many parents and teachers across the state. It's expected to take center stage during a San Diego Unified School Board meeting tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Last month, we brought you the story of local parents calling for less screen time in schools. Now, San Diego Unified is considering changes for the upcoming school year. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas has a preview.
3 changes would take effect in August. Transitional kindergarten students would no longer have laptops in their classrooms. Gaming platforms would be blocked on school-issued devices. Students would also lose access to YouTube and other video streaming platforms unless a teacher allows it. Board Vice President Shayna Hazen has 2 daughters in the district.
I've seen that they've had access to YouTube on their Chromebooks, sometimes in the classroom, sometimes at home. We know that that's not ideal.
They've also used helpful tools, like an online math program her daughter used in 7th grade.
When she gets a problem wrong, it helps her work through it. And sometimes, as a mom who's good at math, not great at math, having that extra help and support through the technology in a safe environment is really valuable.
District leaders want to look at both the benefits and the drawbacks of technology use in classrooms. By winter break, the goal is to create device use guidelines by grade level. Nicole DeWitt is the district's Deputy Superintendent of Instruction.
We can look and see, okay, which applications do we actually see that we actually have data that shows they're helping to improve student outcomes? Those are the ones that we'll continue to support as a district. But if applications aren't improving student outcomes, we would be looking to transition away from those.
The district is also considering shutting off access to Chromebooks outside of certain timeframes.
We know that as a district committed to student wellness, one of the things that's most important is that students are interacting with their family and their friends at home, but also that they're getting to sleep at a reasonable hour. And one of the best ways to promote sleep hygiene is to reduce access to screens.
The resolution comes after months of advocacy from local parents. The local chapter of Schools Beyond Screens says the resolution falls short in some areas. They'd like to see students leave Chromebooks in their classrooms through middle school. They also want the option to opt out of Chromebook use during the school day. The group's leaders plan to speak during public comment tonight. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
City leaders are considering a fare freeze program for riders who are enrolled in public assistance programs. According to San Diego County, more than 360,000 residents rely on CalFresh benefits, while another 50,000 receive CalWorks assistance to help pay for essentials like rent, groceries, and bills. And that includes riders like Ruben Juarez, who uses public transit to get to his medical appointments.
How many times a day would you say?
Like around 4 times.
4 times a day?
Like right now I got to go to wound care and get my legs taken care of.
And the fare freeze proposal now heads to SANDAG for final approval. MTS says it's meeting with county officials this week to determine how eligibility and enrollment to the program would be administered. San Diego's plan to replace SDG&E with its own power company is still in its very early stages. Right now, city leaders are trying to find out if it is even possible. Yesterday, the city council reviewed an independent study which showed the city would need to pay anywhere between $2.4 to $7.6 billion to take over SDG&E. The move could save customers about $500 a year down the line. Some people at the council meeting are all for it.
We have to start making decisions that are generational in effect. So we have to start thinking, what will our kids and grandkids inherit? Will they be able to afford to live in San Diego or not?
You do not have the resources or knowledge to do this. Don't gamble with my job or the job of my union brothers and sisters, because I promise you one thing, we will not go down without a fight.
SDG&E says the study is flawed and omits major risks to safety and reliability. They also say the study underestimates how much it will cost, which they estimate would be around $9.3 billion. This all comes after SDG&E said it wants to raise rates again in 2028.
Temperatures staying about where they've been all week overnight tonight, but I know that icon is new. Now, here's the thing. Not everybody is going to see rain tonight, and even those who do, it's not going to be a lot. I'll break down exactly what to expect coming up.
Nurdles is a funny-sounding name for a serious problem. A nurdle is a tiny bead of plastic that can get into our water, our food, and into our bodies as well. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer tells us about an effort to put a number to the problem.
The 2026 International Plastic Pellet Count shows the tiny plastic pellets are polluting waterways all over the world.
We do the count as a way to show that this is really a problem. I mean, they're clear, so they can really easily kind of blend into the sand along beaches. So you often just don't know that they're there.
Jen Engstrom directs the CalPERG Education Fund. She says during the month of May, over 1,000 volunteers combed sites around railways, beaches, and other waterways in 6 countries, counting and removing the pollutants.
These are tiny bead-like pieces of plastic that are the raw material for plastic items. So these are created and then shipped all over the country to then be melted down and molded into plastic bottles and bags and, countless other plastic items.
The count found over 1 million pellets, a 22% increase from the first count. In California, volunteers found over 15,000 of the so-called nurdles.
They're often treated with chemicals or can absorb chemicals that are then, end up in our fish because they're consumed by marine animals and can ultimately get into, our own bodies through microplastic pollution in our drinking water.
As for how they end up in the waterways in the first place, Engstrom says nurdle pollution tends to accumulate near sites where pellets are manufactured, used, or transported, and it can also come from spillage during rail transport.
And the more we looked along the railroad lines, especially in North County, where there are a lot of our protected lagoon habitats, and those rail lines cross directly over those lagoons, we noticed nurdles almost everywhere we looked.
San Diego Coastkeepers Patrick McDonough took part in the count in Carlsbad, near a rail line. He says nurdles end up on the shores of waterways because most of them float.
These things remain in the water and in the ocean for potentially hundreds or thousands of years, and they end up all over the globe.
McDonough says his organization is organizing another count this July. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
There have now been 16 New World screwworm infections reported in U.S. animals as of today. The CDC says there have been no locally acquired cases reported in humans, and the risk to people remains low. But the parasitic fly can infect humans, and the agency is asking people to watch out for symptoms. Mandy Gaither has more on what you need to know.
It's a species of parasitic fly that feeds on the flesh of warm-blooded animals and people. New World screwworms lay eggs in wounds and body openings, which hatch into larvae and eat live tissue.
We hope for the best and prepare for the worst, and I believe that's where our states and USDA both are aligned.
Mostly cattle have been impacted so far, and Texas has had the majority of cases. There was also a dog infected in New Mexico. One way U.S. officials are responding is by releasing sterile flies. The USDA says it's an eco-friendly technique that disrupts the parasitic fly's ability to reproduce.
That was very successful in eradicating screwworm from the United States and all the way down through Central America back in the 50s, 60s, and into the early 2000s. And I believe it can be a successful technique again.
While the CDC says the risk to humans remains low, the agency says to watch for symptoms, including unexplained painful wounds or sores that don't heal, a foul-smelling odor or bleeding, seeing maggots or feeling movement in open wounds or sores. Any suspected infections in people or animals should be reported to local or state health officials, and protect against the flies in areas where they're present by keeping open wounds clean and covered, limit exposed skin by wearing loose-fitting, long-sleeved clothing, use an EPA-registered insect repellent to prevent insect bites, treat clothing and gear with permethrin, and sleep indoors or in rooms with screens. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Earlier this month, the FDA issued an emergency use authorization for a generic over-the-counter medication to treat screwworm infections in dogs and cats. And while the agency says most pets are at low risk of being infected, the risk increases in areas with confirmed cases.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, President Trump insists Iran has agreed to nuclear inspections despite Tehran's denials. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
A new national survey finds workplace violence remains a widespread problem for nurses. But KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco reports some San Diego hospitals say efforts to improve safety are showing results.
National Nurses United is the country's largest labor union for nurses. It surveyed its members this year. More than 1,200 responded. It found 8 in 10 nurses experienced at least one form of workplace violence in the past year. They described verbal threats, harassment, physical assaults, and sexual violence. Jane Thompson is with National Nurses United.
We also saw in the survey that healthcare employers are not putting in place the measures that we know can prevent workplace violence. Things like training, things like staffing, things like metal detectors and incident reporting and follow-up.
The union is pushing for a federal workplace violence prevention standard.
The federal bill is based on our experience in California with what has worked well here and would take that standard and would apply it to all states.
California already requires hospitals to maintain workplace violence prevention plans and train employees. At Scripps Health, prevention efforts have led to
a huge improvement in the reduction of injuries.
Chris Van Gorder is CEO. He helped launch a regional task force in 2023 that brought hospitals, law enforcement, and prosecutors together.
Now in San Diego, there's prosecutors that handle healthcare workplace violence cases.
The San Diego County District Attorney's Office says they have prosecuted a combined 140 hospital-related violence cases since July 2023. Still, Van Gorder says violence in healthcare cannot be solved by hospitals alone.
It is the hospital, but it's also the law enforcement. It is the district attorney. It is the city attorney. It is the social services programs. The community needs to surround the hospital.
He says workplace violence may never disappear completely, but he believes hospitals and community partners can make a difference.
Are we going to reduce it to zero? No. Are we going to reduce crime outside of hospitals to zero? No. Can we reduce it? Yes.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Americans are having fewer babies than ever. Fertility rates have been trending down for decades, but now researchers are looking into a surprising contributor driving the decline: smartphones. Maribel Gonzalez tells us more about how our phones may be reshaping how we behave.
Is the iPhone birth control? That's the question being asked in a recent working paper published in the National Bureau of Economic Research.
trying to understand how our smartphones have changed human interaction is really the stem of this paper.
Researchers study the link between the rollout of AT&T mobile broadband, the iPhone's original network, and the change in fertility rates between 2007 and 2011. They estimate the early adoption of the iPhone explains 33 to 52% of the decline in the fertility rate, suggesting smartphones replaced in-person interaction.
Rather than having to make plans and go out and see people, it's much easier to revert to just going onto my phone and communicating with them through a text.
But other experts are skeptical that iPhones, particularly the early models, could have greatly impacted birth rates as the study claims.
We didn't have the App Store, we couldn't stream video, there wasn't Instagram, TikTok.
Instead, pointing to other factors.
There were other big things like the 2008 recession and financial crisis and housing crisis that affected, people in all sorts of ways. But we've seen birth rates in women over 30 go up, for example. So people are postponing to later ages, and we kind of have yet to see how that plays out.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
As part of KPBS's America 250 initiative, we are exploring the stories that shaped our nation and our region through historic places with Elsa Sevilla. In California, everything would change when the Spanish entered the traditional Kumeyaay territory, bringing violence, control, and disruption to life, culture, and identity. What followed was not only colonization, but a fight for survival as the First Peoples and the Kumeyaay Nation resisted from the very beginning. Elsa Sevilla has the story.
The Spanish arrived in Kumeyaay territory, what is now San Diego County in northern Baja California, in 1542. But it would take another 227 years for them to return with soldiers and missionaries in 1769, this time to stay. They would build the first California mission and presidio in San Diego, marking the beginning of a system that would deeply disrupt life in the region.
We're standing on a very special place for our people, and there was a village called Cosoy here, and what it was really about was a fresh water spring, and that was really rare along the coast, and it provided the Kumeyaay as well as the Spanish a fresh water source when they arrived.
The village of Cosoy was at the foot of Presidio Hill near Old Town. What followed was a mission system of control that reshaped daily life. The Kumeyaay and other clans in the region were confined to imposed systems that restricted movement, replaced leadership, and enforced new ways of living. Archaeological evidence from Mission San Diego and the Presidio reveals the toll: malnutrition, forced labor, and lives disrupted under colonial rule.
These bones showed signs of severe malnutrition. These people were pushed constantly with no breaks, similar to a prisoner of war camp.
This was part of a broader global pattern as empires expanded and imposed control over land, people, and resources at the expense of indigenous nations in North America. For the Kumeyaay and neighboring clans, the impact was immediate and devastating.
In that time, we lost so many of our storytellers and our elders that much of that story was lost. So we've spent so much time from then to now preserving what we have and also trying to reclaim what was once lost.
But the First Peoples, including the Kumeyaay, resisted from the start. In 1775, the Kumeyaay burned Mission San Diego, an act of resistance against Spanish control. The mission was destroyed, but later rebuilt. Spain would continue its expansion, eventually building 21 missions across California. At the same time, resistance was rising across the continent. In the East Coast, fighting began in Lexington and Concord in 1775. Colonists seeking independence and self-rule. Two struggles in the same year, same land. One led to independence in the East, the other continued colonization in the West.
The Spanish wanted to spread the religion and have churches in different areas and convert the Kumeyaay
As the American Revolution unfolded from 1775 to 1783, the first peoples of Southern California, including the Kumeyaay, continued fighting for survival, land, and identity. Their resilience and adaptability continued to carry them forward.
That was a segment from Elsa Sevilla's Historic Places, the first peoples of Southern California before 1775. You can stream the full episode anytime on KPBS Plus. Summer travel is still on, but this year Americans are being a lot more careful about how they do it. A new pulse check from the travel site Going finds travelers' plans have shifted from ready and open to adventure to selective. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down the latest travel trends.
Summer travel is now in full swing, but the way people are choosing to travel is seeing a shift. This year, 41% of travelers describe themselves as selective, up from just 29% last year, now outpacing those who say they're ready and open to adventure, according to a new report by Going.
There is definitely a tale of two travelers going on for the summer, and it really starts to split when we get into different income levels.
Katie Nastro with Going says budget is the #1 barrier to travel this summer for 39% of travelers earning under $150,000 a year. Those earning $75,000 or less are pulling back the hardest. 41% say they'll travel less. 1 in 4 plans to take fewer trips altogether, while another 1 in 4 is staying closer to home.
When it comes to that lower income traveler, they're definitely citing that there are limitations as to how much they're going to spend.
The result is what Going calls the backyard summer. Domestic travel has slightly increased this year, as well as staycations.
It's not necessarily a conversation around whether or not people are traveling. It's more of a conversation around how people are looking to be more selective and continue to travel, but do it smartly amid having budgetary concerns this year.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
We are tracking some rain chances tonight, overnight, and into Wednesday. Not for everybody, but we'll break it down a little bit more in a couple of minutes. First, the other headlines to get you into the middle of your week. Well, the peak of the heat, it's for some of us here, for others arriving tomorrow. Then we start to really cool down. By this weekend, you'll really notice the difference. Though, also to start out the weekend, some of us are going to see some stronger wind gusts, 30, 40 mile per hour gusts, especially into around the Coachella Valley. I'll bring some more updates as we head later into the week, but this is your early heads up just for anything outdoors that you might be planning that you don't really want to deal with the gusty winds and of course, the fire danger that comes with that. All right, so tonight, I know you see the rain icon. I'll show you future radar in just a minute here because the icons always make it seem like the rain's a little bit of a bigger deal than it's going to be. Temperature-wise, we're in the 70s in Borrego Springs, 58 for Ramona. Then we get back to the 60s by the time we get to the coast. Tomorrow, it's the mountains and the deserts really that have the best rain chances. It doesn't get us out of the triple digits though. 83 for El Cajon and 70s along the coast from San Diego and further north. All right, here's the rain that we're talking about. So this evening is a little bit of a better shot compared to overnight. I stopped the clock right around 1 a.m. You'll notice how it's decreased, how much rain we see on future radar. But even what you did see, this model could be a little overdone. The system's just weakening in our part of the country, specifically for Southern California. And so it's very spotty for anyone that sees rain at all. But I want you to be prepared. It's never fun to be out and about and get stuck without a rain jacket or an umbrella. As we head into tomorrow, those rain chances really start to dwindle as the system moves on out of here. Now, the other thing to highlight here, not out of the question to see some dry lightning or we don't have enough rain along with lightning to mitigate the fire risk. So just another factor to keep in mind. All right, taking a look at our 5-day outlook along the coast. I mean, nothing new here. We're sticking with the status quo. A little bit of a change in our low temperatures Thursday and Friday, a little bit cooler than we have been. Further inland, we get out of the 80s by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday. I told you the weekend, you'll really start to notice that cooling trend. Into our mountain regions, well, this is where we could see a few showers tonight, overnight into tomorrow, but temperatures, we get back into the 60s, even 63 Saturday, but the roller coaster continues by the time we get into our Sunday. And like I mentioned in our deserts, the shower chances, it doesn't get us out of the triple digits, but what does is our cooling trend slowly but surely by the weekend, I mean Sunday, 92, that might be your day to plan anything outside. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather's Anna Azalian.
A San Diego landmark is open to the public for the first time in more than 30 years. The Mormon Temple in San Diego near La Jolla is having an open house after a 3-year renovation. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen got a look inside.
Dozens of people were anxiously waiting this morning for a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It's very beautiful.
It's the first time in 33 years that the San Diego, California Temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is open to the public.
The temple was renovated for 3 years.
The building is situated right next to the 5 freeway, and grime collected over the years has taken its toll on the all-white temple.
And in the light it sparkles.
Those sparkles are what connected the San Diego Temple to the church's first temple in Kirtland, Ohio. Early church leaders put broken china and crockery into the stucco finish for the same effect. Keeping the sparkles was one of the most challenging parts of the renovation, but Drew Page says there were other things that needed replacing as well.
New carpet, new paint, new art.
As well as 2 new rooms, a large waiting room for the families of those waiting to get married.
And then the second one is a larger ceiling room, or where the couples do get married.
Drew and Linda Page are part of the committee leading the tour at the temple's open house. They say other than church members, no one has been inside since the temple's dedication in 1993.
There are many people who came 33 years ago to the original opening, and they wanted to come see it again.
These are the only places where you can take photos of your visit because no cameras are allowed inside the temple.
I was fascinated by it. It was amazing.
Rob Thompson from Vista says what struck him the most was the paintings.
I could just come in here and look at the paintings for forever. I found them very inspiring.
Mira Mesa resident Mohammed Boran Manzoor says the experience was spiritual. He was awestruck by the celestial room,
which is supposed to be a heavenly place and looks very beautiful, and you're supposed to be quiet and ponder.
Going into the celestial room even for a few minutes was just probably, even with it not dedicated, it just felt so much spirit in there.
With its 10 spires, the temple is an iconic landmark, not just in San Diego, but also within the church.
There's not another one in the church that's similar to this. And so it is one of the most unique temples in our church.
More than 350,000 people are expected to see the temple over the 3-week open house. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.